Today on Focal Point, we are going to discuss what it means to be an activist with Assistant Professor Ari Banks, ask students, what curriculum are you in, and discover the best place to get help with your homework, which is the Learning Lab. Stay with us. Hi, welcome to Focal Point on CCP TV, the Emmy-nominated educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I'm Darlene Muntz, a student in the Communication Arts curriculum. I am here with Mr. Ari Banks. He is an English professor and author at Community College of Philadelphia. His essays, articles, and short stories are published in many journals. Mr. Banks is also active in the community. Welcome, Mr. Banks.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mr. Banks, tell us a little about the media and how you think it shapes people's opinions about the world we live in.
That's a big question.
Okay.
First, I feel that the media has tremendous power over how people see the world. It's really the media's responsibility to show what's happening in light of politics, social issues, cultural issues, anything from entertainment, so many different things. And the media is what citizens turn to become informed before anything else. So again, I would say one of the pinnacle factors in shaping someone's view of the world would be when and how they perceive stories in the media.
Do you believe every bit of information and news you receive from the media?
Of course not. I'm always skeptical, especially when it comes to mainstream media. There's always a tilt, there's always bias. Here in the States, for example, if one was to watch Fox National News, you would have a conservative, Republican, right-wing tilt. On the other end of the spectrum, if you were to watch CNN or Democracy Now!, you would have a strong left-wing tilt toward the Democratic Party. It's very difficult these days to find a unbiased, objective reporter or news outlet in this day and age. But that being said, they can be found if people are willing to search.
With that being said, how can we check to see if it's true or false?
The best thing to do to see if information is true or false is to look at as many news providers and outlets as possible. If it's a main story and you see it covered on one television station, look to see how it's covered in other television broadcasts. If you read about it in a newspaper, try to locate that same story and see how it's covered in other newspapers. Even when it comes to news received on the radio, maybe take that story and Google around and try to find how other reporters are covering that same story. And if you can investigate the story through looking at different and as many as possible news providers, you can usually get to some kernel of truth that way. However, if you just stick to one news provider, you will usually follow what that news provider or outlet is saying, and if it's false information and you don't look at other news outlets, then you might be buying into information that might not necessarily be true.
So you're saying the smaller news, the smaller, what would you call
They
them?
would be news outlets
News
or
outlets.
nonprofits, for example, .orgs. Could I give you an example?
Sure, please.
Okay. I was looking through YouTube, which is a social media outlet, and I was looking for stories about the international cocoa bean industry, where cocoa beans come from. Because someone mentioned something to me and I wanted to find out for myself. And I turned towards social media. And I uncovered stories from one would example would be foodempowerment.org. Many people are not familiar with the Food Empowerment Project, but they have investigative reporters, and what they have been doing is exposing the international cocoa supply chain and how there are different large corporations that we're quite familiar with that get their cocoa from forced child laborers in Western African countries. And I feel that this is important information for us to know, but again, you will not find this, hardly ever find this, on mainstream news platforms.
Okay. Have you been following what's going on in Washington, and how do you think the media is handling it?
I imagine that question would be one that all of the viewers would probably like to hear the answer to, in relation to the political climate that we're in.
Yes.
That being said, I haven't seen much difference at all as the way the media has handled and covered political issues before the election and how they're handling it post-election. If you research the different media outlets, the popular ones such as Fox National News or CNN or ABC and these networks that we have, there's always going to be a significant tilt. Many people do not know that Fox National News, founded in, I believe it was 1986, by Rupert Murdoch. And Rupert Murdoch was strongly influenced. In fact, he worked for Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush. And we see now that if you would watch Fox National News, it would inflate any positive story that would deal with President Trump's agenda and the Republican Party. And then if you were to turn towards CNN, you would see a lot of criticism with the Trump administration. If it was flipped, and if you had, let's say, Hillary Clinton had won the election, you would see a much positive spin on the coverage of the Clinton administration. And again, if you were to turn to Fox National News, you would see a lot of criticism, a lot of scrutiny with the Clinton administration. And that seems to be how it is. And the only way to get around this, for me, is to actually go outside of the country, where I find that I will have a more objective point of view. It'll be more center in the middle. And that's why I usually turn towards British broadcasting. Many people are familiar with BBC. And if it's in this country, NPR, National Public Radio.
So who do you think is controlling the media?
Who do I think is controlling the media?
Tell me.
It's going to be a strange answer. I would say we're controlling the media.
Wow. Tell me why you said that.
Well, the media is going to give us what the people want. It used to be a long time, I'm showing my age, but some time ago, television networks did not look at news as a moneymaker. They relied on their financial income from sitcoms, dramas, soap operas. I don't know if they still have soap operas, game shows, things of that nature. And for 26 minutes, the news was left alone. And things have changed. And here we are today, where you might see news presented as entertainment, with the spinning globes and the flashing lights and the loud sounds. It's very eye-catching for a reason. So if a news outlet wants to make money, wants to be successful and grow, they need to try to understand what the public is interested in. And I truly recognized this point when I was watching The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer on CNN, and they were covering a story on Justin Bieber's health and how they're wishing him good health so he could return to his concert tour. And I think that was true because a lot of people are interested in celebrity culture, and they might not be as interested in other social issues.
Last question. Do you think our media is making our social lives better or worse?
I think you saved the most difficult question to answer for last.
Yes.
I think that would actually come down to the individual and how they feel if the media is making their lives better or worse. It's similar to asking someone if their cell phone is making their life better or worse. Someone might say, I love my cell phone. I couldn't live without it. And another person say, why did I buy this thing? Can't we all go back to landlines? And I think the same could be said about the media. The only thing that people might not realize is that with the media, there's many things going on under the radar. Sometimes things are happening in the media where they're just skirting the ground. So people might not be aware, many people are actually not aware until they become media literate of how the media is influencing their lives. Now, in the individual, if they decide if that's a good influence or a bad influence, then that would be up for them to say.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for being with us, Mr.
Oh,
Arabank.
thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you for your insight on media control. Now we're going to visit a group of students and explore their curriculum.
My major is early childhood education because I love children and I want to teach.
My major is accounting. I always like doing puzzles and numbers.
My major is entrepreneurship, and I chose that major because I believe that business leads to ambition and eventually success.
I want to be a nurse so I can help people.
I'm trying to take my major to own my own company and something that's involved with airline or technology to improve it to something even better.
Into the education field, the school systems here in Philly and then probably down south.
Well, I'd like to advance in my current career, working with an agency, and in order to advance, I need a CPA.
I want to be a travel nurse. I want to work with children. Any other kind of major? Not that I know of. I am very satisfied for what I see so far.
Maybe something in maybe acting or musician-wise, I guess in the arts.
I think more, I would say engineering.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's other majors that I want CCP to offer. All my professors are, out of a scale of 1 to 10, I will give them a 20. Their experience, they bring to the classrooms, and it makes the learning even easier.
I would say there's room for improvement, but a lot of them are pretty much up to par, so about 7 or 8 out of 10.
There are a lot of good professors, but in my honest opinion, I would say about 7 to 8.
Like an 8. A lot of them have been really helpful.
Now, wasn't that interesting? On a more serious note, let's discover where CCP students get their help with their homework.
The Learning Lab is a space where students can come in to seek academic support in the form of tutoring, workshops, study groups. There's one-on-one tutoring, we do group tutoring, we have full-time and part-time faculty that are specialists in particular content areas, as well as peer tutors who are either currently students or former students who have come back to work in the Learning Lab as tutors. So we offer a variety of people to help students with the classes and assignments that they're taking.
The Learning Lab is a place for students to take advantage of services here at the Community College of Philadelphia to gain an edge in the classroom.
I know that the peer tutors that we have currently are very enthusiastic about helping the students and really go out of their way to make sure that the students receive the support that they need, even if it's not from them. We do have a group atmosphere and a communal atmosphere, so they're more than welcome to seek out the assistance of a faculty member, or they're more than welcome to come into my office. I have an open door policy, any of the receptionists, the administrative assistants, so we really do work together as a family to help provide the best support we can for the students here at CCP.
I came in because of my specialty with the human body, so anatomy and physiology was what I've done for the most part. But this semester, several students have inquired about forming study groups in microbiology, so I've kind of ventured into study groups in microbiology.
I've been a tutor here at the community college off and on since about 2008 or 2007.
Here, it will be 4 years in August.
It's a family environment. People know each other, there's a comfortability here. Students talk about it all the time.
Now a student can come with a friend and they can sit in. Those that find and stick with the study group and find it help, they tend to stay with it as they progress throughout the courses.
So we choose our peer tutors based on the grades they receive in a content area in their courses as well as their overall GPA. It is a family within the institution of CCP. We really do look out for our students.
I believe that the subject matters at times, they intimidate students, and sometimes with that intimidation, it blocks learning. So if we can find ways to ease the tension, remove anxiety, then we can help the student comprehend simpler material.
It's very difficult for students to ask for help, so we want to make sure that they don't feel shy or embarrassed or don't come in because they feel that there might be a stigma or some judgment about it. We want this to be the space where they make their mistakes and learn from it and excel in their classes.
So I'm reading through the textbook and trying to help follow along with the students who are in my study group, learning what they're learning ahead of what they're doing in class so we can have a more efficient session when they come to me each week.
When students come in for an appointment, we ask that they come prepared with their assignments, that they've looked over their assignments, for example, in an English class. When they come in with an essay, we would ask them to bring their pre-written essay or the assignment from the professor, from their syllabi, what have you, with them, so that we can start from where they may be stuck. If they're unsure how to organize their thoughts, at least they can come in and give us some perspective as to where to start, since we're really here to help clarify for them where their trouble exists versus performing the task for them.
I think it's mostly getting students to realize how tutoring sessions are not the same thing as in-class sessions. So we're not here to re-give you a lecture. We are assuming that you've been to lecture, that you're already studied, and you've come with a set of questions that you generated because lecture plus the studying has still left you lost on a few topics.
It's about teaching somebody how to fish and not just giving them a fish. So in math, we ask them to bring their assignments with them, bring their practice problems, their notebooks from class, any materials that they've worked on.
I do tutor chemistry and biochemistry here, and some minor algebra, which is required for the chemistry. And while we're doing that, sometimes people have problems with the math. Fractions and some minor algebra problems. So the idea is to show them some simpler ways to understand exactly what they're doing so that it doesn't seem hard. And if you can remove some of the anxiety, they're able to learn the rest of the material. The rest of it doesn't seem as complex. Laughter, relaxation allows them to absorb more of the information that is being presented to them.
Now you'll get students who'll come maybe for the whole semester. Some won't need you for the whole semester. They'll just need a certain topic was the hardest topic that they studied. So in one aspect, we shouldn't become clutches. So if I don't see you again, maybe I did my job and you're following through the lectures as they're being presented and you don't need the outside help.
So if you're coming here to the Learner Lab, we want to make sure that you have a good idea of what you're learning and you're sure about the subject. And that there's no question on whether this is right, that's wrong. You know it is, you know it's right, you know it's wrong. You don't have to go ask anybody. And anything else that you feel like you don't know, you go research it and make determinations on your own.
Interesting. Well, that's it for today. I want to thank my guest, Mr. Ari Bank, and you, our viewers, for tuning in. You have been watching Focal Point, the Community College of Philadelphia magazine show on CCP TV, Emmy-nominated educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. All segments for Focal Point are produced by the students in the digital video production curriculum. I'm Darlene Muntz, a student in the Communication Arts curriculum here at CCP. See you next time.